Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Katrin from KISS, Keto It's Simple for Success. Actually here on day 15 of our May Challenge. Now, the May Challenge is all about getting serious about your ketogenic journey, understanding what you can do to actually push through barriers, to break stalls, to actually learn how to make this lifestyle work for you and to help you achieve the sorts of goals that you want to achieve through May and obviously going forward. If you're watching on the replay, welcome. Thank you so much for coming and checking out the video. And if you're watching on YouTube, hello, welcome. Welcome to the channel. I really do hope that you choose to subscribe. We do talk a lot about the ketogenic lifestyle. We talk about good food, nutrition, gut health, weight loss, fitness, all sorts of stuff. So we really, really hope that you subscribe and check out the rest of our content. Anyway, I'm coming to you live in our free public Facebook group. So if you're not a member already, please do join on the link below. And everything I talk about tonight, if I'm linking to a blog post or I'm linking to I don't know, a book or anything else, then I'll make sure that I do drop the links below so that you can access that content that I'm talking about. So yeah, let's crack on with our May challenge. Like I said, it is live, so we may have some people popping in, asking questions and making comments and things, so I look forward to that. So yeah, let's crack on. So tonight, we're going to talk about fat. So fat on a ketogenic lifestyle, obviously we know that a vast majority of the energy that we take in during the day is from fat. It's what our cells are running off. It's what we're using to produce ketones, and it's what's protecting our cells and keeping us as healthy and as energetic as possible. So fat is really, really important for anyone who's embarking on a ketogenic lifestyle. Let me just move the camera slightly because it's a bit of a strange angle. That's better. I just hid for some reason. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to talk about fat, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, I think for a lot of us, when we first start this way of eating, the thought of increasing fat significantly can come as a bit of a challenge, really, in terms of how we feel and how we think about the lifestyle. We are very much told through the mainstream media, through our health institutions, through everything. And even my daughter came back from school telling me that fat is bad. So we've very much had this as a cultural norm in our society for at least the last 2 generations. So when we come to relook at the literature, when we look at actually what humans have evolved to eat and what is natural for the human body, we're coming against this almost universal truth that we've been told for the last 2 generations. But I think that the first thing I want to say is the obesity crisis began when we told people fat was bad. So I just want to lay that on the line and say that we weren't fat until we were told we were eating too much fat. We took fat out of the diet. Everyone listened. Believe me, the amounts of fat in people's diet have reduced. However, we are getting fatter and fatter and fatter and sicker and sicker and sicker. And I just read today that the amount of children with type 2 diabetes has doubled in the last 4 years. So we're way off. And in fact, we are so far off base of where we need to be for not just our generation, not just adults, but for the next generation as well. It's time now that we talked about fat. We realize it's what is missing from the diet, and that it's very, very natural for humans to eat fat, and that we actually spend some money and time telling people. Hi, Cheryl. So Cheryl says, my physical therapist just told me that meat causes heart disease and I shouldn't be eating so much of it. Blah, I didn't agree with her. Yeah, well, we're about to talk about why healthcare professionals are still giving this very false information. It's all to do, and this brings me perfectly onto the story, it's all to do with one man called Ansel Keys. And I've probably said it before, but this man is responsible for more deaths than anybody else ever, because of his guidelines on healthy eating. What Ansel Keys did is he selected countries for his multi-country study on saturated fat. He wanted to prove his hypothesis that it was saturated fat in the diet that was causing heart disease and heart attacks. So he went off and he selected countries where people ate a lot of saturated fat and had high rates of heart disease. And he also went to countries where there was low levels of heart disease and low levels of saturated fat. So he went to the places that would pretty much prove his hypothesis. What he didn't do, and I'm going to show a book at this point, it's probably going to be the wrong way round. So I do apologize. Oh, no, so the right way around. The big fat surprise. If you are still not understanding that the current information that we've been given about fat is incorrect, you absolutely have to read this book. What Nina has done is actually smash down the politics and rip apart the quality of the research that we are basing these food guidelines on. So we now know that Ansel Keys purposefully avoided places that disproved his hypothesis. Now, one of the places which is very, very close to my heart is the southwest of France. It's somewhere where I feel very at home, and the food is fantastic. And in the southwest of France, you've got something called the southwest phenomena. Basically, these people eat incredibly high levels of saturated fat. They eat a lot of poultry fat, they eat a lot of goose fat, they eat a lot of butter and cheese and very high amounts of saturated fat. They live longer than other people. They are healthier and have less cardiovascular disease than the rest of France. So Ansel Keys knew this and purposefully avoided anywhere. For example, he didn't go to Arctic countries where, again, saturated fat was very, very high, and again, people were living longer and healthier lives. He purposefully avoided these places in order to not disprove his theory. However, we now know that this is the case. And if you look at his study, if you go back to what Ansel Keys based his ideas on, then you will understand that there are several places that were completely excluded because they directly disprove his theory. So Charles says he's an idiot. Well, yeah, he's not an idiot anymore. He's nobody. But yes, unfortunately, the findings of this study, or the proving of his own hypothesis, was very aggressively pushed into the American way of thinking. They wanted to know why their president at the time had a heart attack, and Ansel Keys gave them an answer. And they really, really took it on board, and it became part of the US dietary guidelines. And of course, the rest of the Western world does what we always do and follows suit. And since that time, since we've all taken on those guidelines to start to reduce saturated fat in the diet and start to increase instead carbohydrates, we've all got fat and sick. So thanks, Ansel. Excellent. Anyway, I won't rip into him anymore. However, he does make me very, very cross. So anyway, this is where we've got this fear of fat from. And unfortunately, it's so entrenched that people are still talking about, even though there is not a single randomized controlled trial that has proved his hypothesis ever since. In fact, huge randomized controlled trials have shown there's no difference in cardiovascular health between people who eat saturated fat and don't. And interestingly enough, and one of the biggest studies, which I will link below, actually showed that people who removed saturated fat and high levels of fat from the diet, they had worse cardiovascular health in some cases because their diabetes got worse. So we now know that saturated fat is nothing to do with it. And in fact, the fact that all fats just seem to get rumbled in with saturated fat has meant that now we have people who are literally fat deficient. Their brains aren't working properly. They've got things like dementia, Alzheimer's, ADHD, autism spectrum, seizures. These people are actually fat deficient now because we've removed so much fat from the diet and we vilified it so much, and healthy eating is low fat. So really does make me cross that this amazing nutrient that our bodies are designed to run on has been taken out of our diet because of something one person said and went out to go and prove by finding places that suited his hypothesis. That's it. That's what it's all based on. And we have never been able to replicate his findings again in proper randomized control trials. Yet this is the science that Cheryl's physical therapist is talking about, and doctors spout all of the time. They still think fat is the enemy, but that's never been proven, ever. And if you read Nina's book, and I'll show it again just in case you missed it at the beginning. If you read Nina's book, then she's not biased. She's a journalist. She's not a keto coach or anything like this. She's got no reason to come up with the conclusion that she did. She just was very interested in the fact that so much has come from this one man's opinion, and it was opinion. It wasn't a randomized control trial. So yeah, she was interested in that and started researching the book and started looking at all the trials that have happened since, and all the times that we've tried to prove that saturated fat is bad for us. And guess what? We haven't. It's not there. It doesn't exist. So if you haven't read the book yet, then do it. It's amazing. It's a real good read. And of course, the cover makes everyone stop and talk to you about keto. So yeah. Yeah, get it. I don't think health professionals have any malice when they try to give us this advice. I honestly think that they believe what they're saying is true because it's what they were told. It's what we were all told. So I don't hold them in any different standard than I hold myself. However, I've never been one to take something on face value. I will always look to be the devil's advocate and to see the other side of the story. And so I guess it's really harsh to say these people are well, they are wrong, but it's harsh to say that they're giving bad advice on the knowledge that they're giving bad advice. What they don't understand is there is actually no evidence supporting what they're saying. But unfortunately, Ansel Keys' influence has been a whitewash, an absolute whitewash. And of course, the grain industry's jumped on this like you wouldn't believe, because finally they had a way of selling their products as healthy and nutritious and low fat. And suddenly carbohydrate is king, and the whole food pyramid gets put on this carbohydrate because protein is fatty, meat is fatty, and that's fat, and that's really, really bad. So protein's going to take a bit, we know we need a little bit, but we don't want too much because it's got fat on it. And fat needs to be completely eradicated from the diet. What does that leave? Carbohydrate. Okay, so we'll base our food pyramid on carbohydrate and see what happens. And guess what has happened? Guess what has happened? We're now killing millions of people. Anyway, before I go off on a huge rant, let's start talking about fat. So, another reason that fat is vilified is the number of calories in a fat gram. Now, I hope that you've read our calories blog and you understand why for a ketogenic eater, calories mean nothing. However, if you do believe that you are fat because you eat too many calories, and you know that fat is at least twice as many calories per gram than protein and carbohydrate, and you're really, really hungry and you've got to eat as much food as you can because you're starving on this low calorie diet, then what do you choose? The 9 calories per gram fat or the 4 calories per gram protein and carbohydrate? Well, of course, fat is the first thing that you're going to get rid of, because ultimately, if you believe that calories are a thing, then you can't eat as much if you're eating a high-fat diet. I mean, we know that we don't actually eat as much on a high-fat diet, but people would be worried because they're starving. They're in a calorie deficit. Their body's craving food. It's going to look everywhere for energy. So what you're going to give it? Well, if you're trying to lower calories, if that's your goal, then you're going to take fat out of the diet to give yourself that more leeway, because you can eat more carbohydrate and you can eat more protein. So yeah, that's another reason that fat has been really vilified and taken out of the diet. And all the diet foods that you will find are low fat, because people assume fat makes you fat. Well, believe me, fat does not make you fat. Fat makes you energetic. It makes you run home from the train station like I did tonight, because I had really fatty bone broth and it was like, woo. It makes you energetic, it makes you warm, it boosts your metabolism, brings your immune system up, helps you grow your hair, helps you make your skin better. You name it, it's awesome. And we're going to go through the different types of fat, why they're vital in the body, which fats that we should be leaning on heavily, which are the most nutritious and healthy fats, and then talking about fats, because there is fats that we want to avoid, and we're going to talk about them as well. Okay, so the first fat that I'm going to talk about are monounsaturated fats. You probably know these from olive oil, avocados, nuts and seeds. What else is there? Poultry, and again, this is linked into this Southwest thing that their high-fat diet is high in monounsaturated fat because of poultry. Geese, ducks, chickens, particularly free range, fantastic for this monounsaturated fat. So why is it good for us? Well, monounsaturated fat, as well as being quite ketogenic and quite energetic, actually has a fantastic influence on something called HDL. HDL, or high density lipoproteins, are basically what people call good cholesterol. That's not correct, actually, because high density lipoproteins are not cholesterol, but they carry cholesterol around. So this is what we call good cholesterol, apparently. Actually, all cholesterol is good, but we won't go there today, because our cholesterol is a whole other video. So HDL is associated with better quality of cardiovascular health, and longer life expectancy, and less risk of things like stroke, heart attack, and things like that. So monounsaturated fats increase the amount of HDL cholesterol, it's not cholesterol, but HDL in the blood. So that's the one thing. Another thing that monounsaturated fats are known to do is reduce blood pressure. So if you're looking to improve your blood pressure, one of the things that you can do is start to increase the amounts of monounsaturated fats that you're eating, and to lean, heavily on these fats. So again, things like your olive oil, your avocados, nuts and seeds, and your poultry is really, really rich in monounsaturated fat as well. And believe it or not, so is butter, has it in there as well. Pork as well, monounsaturated fats. So I'm talking about lard and bacon and generally pork fat, pork belly. Excellent source of fat. Very, very easily digested by the body, and incredibly linked with our evolution, especially in the UK. And if you have Northern European descendants, then believe me, wild boar, pigs is something that we have always eaten. So in terms of what our body's used to, it's definitely used to that. Okay, so going on from monounsaturated fats, then the next one, fatty pork steak. I know, it's lovely, isn't it, Cheryl, to feel like that. So polyunsaturated fats, then, these are the ones that we are told to eat. So you probably know polyunsaturated fats from things like seed oils. I'm talking about soybean oil, sunflower oil, canola oil. We call it rapeseed in the UK, but I know that's offensive somewhere in other places. So it's the seed oils, your vegetable oils, things that are liquid at room temperature, and normally quite heavily processed. So be aware that these are polyunsaturated fats that we are being told to eat more of. Also be aware that they're very unstable at high temperatures. They break down into something called free radicals, and it's free radicals that cause cancer. So just be aware that these oils that are being sold to us in processed food, as deep fried food when we go out, used heavily in restaurants, it's very cheap. So if your food is cheap, then it may have these oils in it. So just be very, very aware. And I know things like mayonnaise, salad dressings are absolutely chock full of this stuff. So the polyunsaturated fats, we're talking about the seed oils, are something that we would choose to avoid because they're inflammatory. And yeah, not great for us. Okay, so moving on, but carrying on with these polyunsaturated fats. They can be split into the omega-3, omega-6, omega-9, etc. And some of the polyunsaturated fats are incredibly good for us. And in fact, I would say to people that one of the aims of moving your health forward and going towards a longer life, a longer period of life where you are fit and active and capable, would be to start increasing the amount of omega-3 fats in the diet. Now, you've all heard of them. It's the stuff in oily fish. And I cannot stress to you enough how good this stuff is. You either need to be eating 2 or 3 portions of oily fish every week to get these omega-3s, or you can supplement with a half decent omega-3. Careful of supplements, I won't go into my story, but just be careful what's in them. Anyway, so omega-3 is really, really important. So we can get it in oily fish, we can get it in capsule form as well, but you can also get omega-3 and a good amount of omega-3 from flax seeds, chia seeds, again from grass-fed dairy, from grass-fed beef, from grass-fed lamb, and from free-range poultry as well. So animals that moved around, that ate grass, that ate their natural diet, so picked up worms off the floor and whatever else they were doing, those types of animals are going to be much higher in omega-3 fatty acids than grain-fed animals, because grain is an omega-6. They store those omega-6 in their body. They get fat on the grains. They're full of omega-6, and omega-6 crowds out omega-3, and we need omega-3. We're desperate for it. Our brains require it. It's a vital part of our diet, and most of us are getting nowhere near enough omega-3, and all that omega-6 just crowds it out because there's only so much fat that we can eat. So we need to increase this omega-3, and those are the ways to do it. Hi, Cindy. Nice to see you. Okay, so let's move on from those polyunsaturated fats then, because they are vital, and the omega-3 fatty acids, you probably do hear me talk about it a lot, but they reduce inflammation, they protect the brain. In fact, they can actually help to rebuild damaged brain cells. When we look into how important omega-3 is, I can't stress it enough. It needs to be in the diet. If you're not eating oily fish, then get your omega-3 somehow. Okay, so we'll move on from them onto our last, and actually my favorite type of fat, because I love to debate about it and to talk to people about it, and Nina's book is all about it, and these are our saturated fats. Now, in terms of evolution, humans didn't get much monounsaturated fat. They didn't get much omega-6. Humans ate a lot of saturated fats, and of course animals which were high in omega-3s as well. So if you can imagine a cow, they've got a good layer of fat on them. Obviously they're grazing animals, they have a high carbohydrate diet, they store fat, which is great for us lean, almost carnivorous hunter-gatherers. They're literally exactly the type of food that we need to fuel our bodies. Hunter-gatherers would take down large animals, so we're talking about bison and wild boar and deer and these animals which all carry fat under the skin. And it's that fat that our human ancestors would have seen as you know, really precious because it's so energetic. Like I said, it's 9 calories per gram. So the first thing they're going to do is get as much of that fat into their bodies as they possibly can to make them energetic and to keep them warm, and to ultimately keep them alive. So our diet has always been quite heavy in saturated fat. And like I said, so far, nothing has shown us that we shouldn't be eating the saturated fat. We have mentioned there's a difference between a good quality meat and a good quality animal and a low quality one. And again, that's probably another video or another subject that we can talk about. However, if we're talking about good quality grass-fed dairy and meat and wild-caught fish and these things, we do not need to fear the fat on those animals. That is exactly what humans are designed to eat. And we know by increasing our saturated fat from these good quality animals that all our blood results and our health in general improves. We know that the ketogenic scientists and the low carb scientists are doing these studies, and we know that's the case. So what happens when we eat good saturated fats? Our HDL, again, like I mentioned, this is this good cholesterol, some people call it, increases. So we know that's linked to better cardiovascular health. We know that our LDL, which is often called bad cholesterol, but again, I want to do a whole video on cholesterol because LDL isn't even cholesterol, it's a cholesterol transport mechanism. So, you know, it's moving fat and cholesterol around the body. It's nothing, you know, it's in itself is not bad at all. What increasing our amount of saturated fat does is take LDL and fill it. It fills it with fat to move around the body for use with cells. And those large, fluffy LDL particles cannot get stuck in your arteries. So what you want your LDL particles to do is be full of fat, be full of cholesterol and fat, so that you're too big to cause an issue. So we know now that LDL on its own, and even increased rates of LDL, are not an indicator of poor health. In fact, it's just an indicator that you are fat fueled and that you are moving fat around your body. So raised levels of LDL, as you know, as a number, mean that you're eating fat, basically. Doesn't necessarily mean anything else. And in fact, it means that you are moving that fat around the body well, and burning that fat in your cells. Yeah. Should we have 3, 6, and 9, or is just 3 okay? Going back to your omega-3s, you are eating plenty of omega-6. You don't need any more. So what I would suggest is an omega-3, maybe 9, but again, we do get omega-9 from a very normal ketogenic diet. Very few people are going to be low in omega-9. What people are low in is omega-3. So no, you don't need the others because there is so much of them in our food already. You know, if you're eating meat and you're eating dairy and things, then you've got plenty of omega-6. You don't need that. It's the omega-3s that people are really low in. So I hope that covers it. But yeah, it's omega-3 because we're eating plenty of the rest. Okay, so back to saturated fat then. Increased amounts of saturated fat from good quality animals and from good quality sources are indicative of higher bone density, which is a huge indicator of health and longevity. They're involved in our hormone production. You probably know that hormones, most of them, especially our sex hormones, are made out of cholesterol, and the more fat we have, the more the body produces cholesterol and regulates hormones. So hormones, really, really important. And when I think about my own journey and the change in how I look and the anti-aging properties, a lot of that does come down to the increased amount of saturated fat that I'm actually eating, has helped a lot with that. So where do we get these saturated fats from? Well, my favorite sources are butter. Good quality red meat. The better you can get your meat, the better it's going to be. We're quite lucky in the UK that although not all our beef is grass-fed for its entire life, it does, our cows do spend time on grass. So even our cheap stuff is not as bad as feedlot grain-fed beef that you will find in the US. However, it's one of my goals to have 100% grass-fed beef at some point. You never know, we might get there. Okay, so red meat. Things like lard, things like our dairy products, so our cream, our butter, our cheese, things like that have great fat. If you can get grass-fed, then that's awesome. You probably know that our dairy in the UK is grass-fed, so we're really lucky. Other places to get saturated fat are coconut products, and we know there's loads and loads of research showing that coconut oil, coconut cream, coconut milk, not only are they really good for your gut bacteria, but they have really healthy fats as well. And if you can buy organic coconut oil, cold pressed, just straight out of the coconut, then that's one of the best things that we can eat for our health. So definitely that. Eggs, free range eggs, fantastic. They're not expensive. Go out and buy nice eggs. And then cocoa butter as well. So if you've never tried cocoa butter, it makes a fantastic creamy drink with a bit of heavy cream. Oh, beautiful. I've only had it the once because it is a little expensive, but yeah, fantastic saturated fat from there as well. Okie dokie. So what are the fats then are we trying to avoid? Well, we're trying to avoid the hydrogenated oils, also called trans fats. And these are the sorts of fats that people use instead of saturated fats. Things like butter and lard are quite expensive, and of course, nobody wanted to eat them. So they came up with this idea of hydrogenating, so saturating polyunsaturated fats with hydrogen so that they turn into saturated fats, so that they're solid at room temperature, and they use these hydrogenated oils. It's like some sort of Frankenstein's, it's horrible. They use these fats in our processed foods. They're on the decline in the UK. We've got the European Union to thank for that. However, I know that these trans fats, these hydrogenated oils, are still used in a lot of American products. I see them in imported products from the US, in the UK, so they are definitely there. They're in your biscuits and your pastries and your cookies and everywhere. They're literally in all your junk food, and you want to just stay away from them because they are so bad. They're so bad that they're getting banned in lots of countries because of the health risk involved. You're talking about massive inflammation, insulin resistance, cancer, stroke, heart disease, you name it. They are really, really bad. So you don't want to eat them at all. So we've got two things that we're looking out for. We're looking for these high omega-6 seed oils, these vegetable oils, which are not very stable at high temperatures, and we're trying to avoid them. And the other one is these trans fats, hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. Please check labels for them. If you're eating a product with that stuff in, that product is not keto. It's simply not. And you want to try and remove that. Go back to what the human body is really, really used to. Your lard, your butter, your olive oil, your meat, your cheese, your fish. Just go back to real food, and all the risks associated with these nasty fats go away, so you don't have to think about it. So if you are eating a whole foods ketogenic lifestyle, like the KISS plan, then all these bad fats I've taken out for you, they're not in there. So you can just eat fat, enjoy it, know that your body accepts the fat, digests it well, uses it for fuel, uses it to rebuild the body and to heal you and to protect the brain, and to provide you with a longer and more healthy life. So yeah, that's fat in a nutshell. And I hope that you've enjoyed that. I know for a lot of you who've done the 28-day plan, this is not new to you, and I know that we've done a members only deep dive in the Thursday theory as well. So I think that most of this is regurgitated stuff, but it's always good to get this message out as far as possible, because when I do speak to people about increasing the fat, I can almost hear the intakes of breath when I am talking about red meat and cheese and eggs and these things. And I know there are so many professionals out there who are still using Ansel Keys's findings from decades ago, and seem to have failed to register that despite spending billions of taxpayer dollars in huge randomized controlled trials to try to prove his hypothesis around saturated fat, they didn't. In fact, they didn't, they just showed the opposite, really, that instead people were eating carbohydrates and just getting fatter. So I hope that helps, and I hope it helps when you have the conversations that you do with your health providers, that you can take it on board and understand that these people are not doing this out of malice. They haven't read Nina's book. This is just one of the books. There's loads of books that I've read, and of course Gary Taubes, who is one of the world's most renowned science writers, has smashed the research done by Ansel Keys and the other proponents of low fat and low calorie diets over and over. So we've done this work. The work has been done time and time again by every time we do a randomized controlled trial. Red meat does not cause cancer. There's no randomized controlled trials showing that. There's no randomized controlled trials showing that fat is an issue, apart from these, the horrible ones. But yeah, healthy natural fat, good quality meat, fish and poultry should be in the diet. That's what humans are designed to eat. And I hope that you continue your quest for knowledge. Don't just take what I'm saying on, as gospel. Be like me. Go and read the stuff. Go and make up your own judgments based on the numbers, based on the actual studies. Go and have a look at them. Take on as much information as you can from different people, and yeah, be curious, and just keep enjoying the journey. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to go into cholesterol and things like that, because I think that's a topic on its own. Because cholesterol is different to fat, and we need to know that it's very different. However, it gets lumped in with these things. So we'll do that on another day, but I'm going to leave you and say good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.